All right, so Last of Us on HBO.
Yes.
Let's see, it's about Joel and Ellie as they explore a post-apocalyptic world.
hmm
What did you think?
I thought The Last of Us was overall a really good show. It really catches you quickly with the way it begins and how fast they jump into the action and the character building and everything. I do think it stayed pretty consistent overall. The acting was really good. Of course, Pedro Pascal's awesome. The cinematography was really good. A lot of big open shots of like mountain ranges and stuff that looked really good. The zombies, the clickers, were definitely nice and terrifying. The scenes that we got with them, they were very intimidating, and the whole fungus aspect and everything was very interesting and really makes you kind of afraid in real life with how like close to home it kind of hits. If I was to say anything negative, I think it kind of suffers from the same thing that like The Walking Dead does, where they start to focus too much on the people and the drama going on with the people, where the drama of the apocalypse and everything almost feels like secondary, which I'm sure they were doing on purpose. But what'd you think of it before I go on too long?
I thought it was okay. As someone that attempted to play the games at one point,
Right.
I definitely felt like the game did a better job at keeping my attention and keeping me on the edge of my seat. And it also did a better job at scaring me. I couldn't even finish the game because I got so scared at one part with where you're in a building full of a bunch of clickers,
Right.
and I just couldn't even get past that part because it was so scary. And then you watch the show and you're thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be a cool horror show about this new species of zombies or this new like zombie concept that we've never seen before.
Right.
And then you watch the show and you kind of barely see the clickers or the zombies, whatever you want to call them, the clickers.
Yeah.
You barely see them. You really see more side characters than you
hmm
see of anything else. Like I didn't even feel attached to Joel and Ellie by the end of the show because they focused so much on side characters that ended up not really going anywhere. And
Right.
they also passed a lot of time between each episode. So, like you said, by the time we got to the end, it just felt really rushed, very abrupt. And I was like, is this a drama? I thought this was a horror show. Is it
Real.
just, when did zombies become more dramatic
Right.
than scary?
A soap opera with clickers.
Exactly. And so I was kind of let down by that and disappointed. I think if you like the game, you might like the show because they do a lot of like side by side comparisons. But then, in that sense, too, if you like the game, they leave a lot of stuff out from the game to
Yeah.
make room for stuff that's like show original that I could have honestly done without. Even one of the very early episodes is just about two side characters. And at first, I loved the episode because I was like, wow, they're really showing you like the kind of world that this is and how people are surviving in this world and what they're up against. Because it's not just clickers that you have to worry about. It's other people that survived the apocalypse too. And it's governments that have survived the apocalypse and rebel groups and all these other things you have to be careful of. So I liked that at first, but then when I found out that the show was so short and so rushed and so condensed, then it felt like episodes like that were a waste
Right.
because you focused on characters that had nothing else to do with the story, and you focused on things that we never like really went back to. And I feel like they could have used that time to make the show more scary. They could have used there was times when like the show would come out and we wouldn't even rush to go see it right away because we it's like we almost had to like force ourselves like, hey, let's not forget to watch The Last of Us
Right.
because we are going to try and finish it since we started it. But there was no like enthusiasm of like, ooh, I can't wait for that next episode. I can't wait to see. It's like I already knew what they were going to do every episode
Right.
because they basically just copy the same formula throughout the entire show.
Right. And
So,
to kind of piggyback what you were saying earlier with like like we were talking about, I something I definitely noticed, especially in the second half of the season, without spoiling too much that happens. There's scenes that there's this guy named David. If you know anything about the game or anything, he has this story arc, and the entirety of the arc happens in one episode, and it definitely is feels like it could have been an episode and a half or a 2 episode long story, but they have to rush episodes like that so that they can dedicate an entire episode to Ellie hanging out and playing at the mall, which I
right.
definitely felt like the David arc or even the last episode could have been given 30 minutes to an hour more each, which would have, like either more episodes to the season or just less, even if they just divided the time more evenly. I'm not against character building or anything, but I don't want it to the point where the excitement of the
Right.
apocalypse suffers because of it.
Completely agree. If you're someone who watches zombie shows for the drama and the emotion and the soap opera ness of it, then you'll probably love Last of Us. But if you're someone who watches zombie shows because you like the horror, or if you played the game and you liked how scary the game is, then I feel like maybe you'll be a little bit let down by the lack of horror in the show.
Right.
Overall, I would just say, like, if you have HBO and you have nothing else to watch and you want to check it out because everyone's talking about it, then sure, watch it. But I wouldn't just go around like telling people like, "Oh my God, it's such a great show. You have to watch it." It's like, yeah, if you get around to it, cool. But
Right.
I'm not, you know, I'm not singing its praises.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I do think it's worth watching. Check it out and make your own opinion of it. But it is because it's so popular and trending right now. I do think it's worth a watch. But even though it is one of the better video game adaptations, it's still not one of the best apocalypse shows.
And knowing that they're already thinking about working on part two and filming part two and stuff, it makes sense because it feels like they didn't want to spend that much time on part one so that
Right.
they could hurry up and get to part two.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
part one definitely feels rushed through. And as far as the casting goes, yeah, I think the actors did a really good job, but I don't know. There's just something off where I just couldn't see them as the characters that I saw them as in the game. And
Right.
even in the game, when I didn't even finish the game, I still felt more emotion between Joel and Ellie in the game
Right.
in that short time that I played it than I did in the entirety of the show.
Right. Right.
So,
It's just a lack of time. They just did not have enough episodes to give enough time to everything they were.
yeah,
That like with the pacing they had, there could have been like 2 seasons just for this freaking part one storyline that they were telling almost. They definitely could have taken a lot more time, especially with at the beginning they kind of do. Like the beginning's paced really well, but then it just kind of falls off.
right. I
So
agree.
but yeah, overall, go check it out. I mean, if you already have HBO, like we said, why not? Go check it out. It's a pretty good show overall, but a little disappointing. Thanks for watching, though. If you liked the video, give us a subscribe, give us a like. Let us know what y'all thought in the comments. Take care.